Today's AskReddit post. What's the craziest thing you've done in school without getting in trouble? Oh boy, this is gonna be a good one. Let's get started. I helped out in my high school's library my junior and senior year. In that time I would print out very small pictures of Nicolas Cage and place them around the school and library. By the end of senior I had placed somewhere between 200 and 300 of them. I had even made special Santa Nick cages to hide around December. It was always really funny when people and staff would be generally confused when they found them. There was someone in my high school who did this the entire time I was attending and nobody ever figured out who it was. This is what Reddit is for. I thought it was for porn. Nah, the internet is for porn. I was bullied relentlessly from like grades 2-5 by some jackass. By the time grade 5 rolled around, the UGR card game had become the greatest thing for kids to play with since the yo-yo. In order to get the jackass to stop bullying me, I snuck into the classroom while everyone else was out for some assembly or something, went to his desk, and took every single card he had on him. To add icing to the cake, I didn't keep any of the cards. I gave the majority away to random kids after school and tossed the rest into a drain. He and his mom marched down to my house afterwards, but no proof at all. Never got into any trouble at school or home. Now being older, I've learned my lesson. By giving away the cards, I gave him a trail back to me and a possibility of salvaging some of his collection. I should have just burned them all in the woods. You could also dunk them all in a bowl of dirty water and leave it at his desk. The cards will be ruined but still somewhat intact. He'll be forced to continue playing with shriveled up, lumpy cards or throw them away himself. It hurts my heart to just imagine one of my rare cards water damaged, let alone all of them. Another fun idea is to bend one of the really rare cards in half. Then he will know whenever he's about to draw it. Doesn't seem like a big deal at first, but soon people will stop being willing to play with him because he's cheating and he has to get rid of it on top of being shamed. I poured a flammable hydrophobic chemical down the drain that had standing water in it in our chemistry lab. The next group used a striker to light the Bunsen burner and the sparks lit the chemical on fire, causing us to evacuate the building for the next 2 periods. The pyro TF2 intro plays. I fear no man, but that thing, it scares me. Freshman year, had a history teacher no one liked. Put off kind of a creepy vibe. Would lose assignments and then say you never turned them in. We got our hands on a pretty explicit centerfold. This was pre-internet so porn was hard to come by. I snuck into his classroom, pulled down the map, taped up the oversized nudie pic and rolled the map back up. Next period in history we had been covering World War II. We told this other kid, Glenn, what we had done. He was always in some trouble anyway, so we told him he should ask some questions that would require the teacher to pull down the map. Map comes down. Everyone gasps. Again. Pre-internet days. I know for a fact for some kids it was the first full frontal nude they'd ever seen. Teacher stares for a second, rolls the map up, takes the whole map roll off the hanging mount, grabs Glenn by the arm and off to the office they go. Glenn got in pretty big trouble but never snitched. We never got caught. I do feel bad though. Glenn had been in some trouble but this was by far the worst. He later went on to spend some time in jail. I didn't push him into a life of crime, but I certainly didn't help him avoid it either. Bro, you better call Glenn up and apologize. Me and some friends were making a movie in high school. One of the characters were to be shot in the chest, so we took a wooden plate and taped it to the stomach of the guy. Taped a firecracker on it and put a plastic bag with pig blood in it on top of that again, then just shoved a shirt on the guy and lit the fuse. We were going to do it outside but the lighting was so bad we decided to move it indoors. 3 tries later we got the shot along with pig blood on the walls, floor and ceiling of the school hall we were filming in. We had to clean it up eventually but during school hours, so we just missed a class or 2, which, honestly, was a win-win. Imagine the hall monitor walking the corridors and suddenly sees blood on the walls and the floor. Off topic, but did your school have actual hall monitors? Mine didn't seem to care at all if people were wandering around the halls. There are kids on duty, appointed by teacher for that day, during the recess to make sure everyone moves in line. and there is no nuisance. Otherwise, students have to get a hall pass to go outside. Sometimes the principal might be on around. Nice try, mom. Nice try, dad's mom. Grandma. This kid smashed a banana into another kid's ear and then got chased around the school for like 15 minutes. Lumfeo what? He said the kid smashed a banana into another kid's ear and then got chased around the school for 15 minutes. And happy fucking cake day. Ah, thanks. Guess my hearing aid wasn't working. Still some banana stuck in it, I assume? Found a latched door under a desk in the back of the library. We unlocked it and found big tunnels that ran under the schools. Holy duck, I wish my school had a secret porn basement too. But jokes aside, how cool is this? Did you ever got deep into the tunnels? So one side led to a locked cage on the side of the school and the other went to the sewers. Not much to work with but fun to skate and smoke during free period. Obviously it didn't last very long. Eventually they got wise and put a proper lock on it. When I was a junior they were building a new wing onto the school, but it was connected to the existing school already. Just had some construction tarps blocking the doors. Well, I let myself into the new construction part one day during school. Figured out the construction dudes were all on the opposite side, no one near me. So I used to smoke weed in the new school. It'd have a blunt rolled. Go out and smoke a bit. Stub it out. Come back a few periods later. No one ever knew. I was pretty chill, but the most crazy thing I did was that I locked every bathroom door. I discovered that if you push the handle down and then you press the door latch, a button that keeps the handle shut, and then you close the door would close with the latch on and no one inside the bathroom. I remember the janitor screaming while with tools trying to open the doors, if anyone is inside you better open the door. Just go under the door? Or do you mean the main door? Each toilet had its own door and it covered it full from up to down. Did each toilet door lol? Oh, I see how that would be difficult to get under for anyone other than perhaps a mouse. Nah, not even a mouse. Probably a cockroach. I lit off a pretty big mortar in the middle of the quad at night when no one was there. No tube to shoot it in the air. Just lit it on the ground and ran. If you think they're big in the sky when they get some distance, it's ducking YUGE on the ground. Huge, YUGE. Huge, YUGE. Pissed in a bully's locker. That's terrible. You should have taken a shit while you were at it. I would have gone the extra mile and put a live skunk in his locker. One time I got 2 slices of pizza for the price of one from the school cafeteria. I ate both slices without telling the staff. Something similar happened to me. We have an old lady that handles lunch payments. So I bought my lunch. Paid with a $10. She gives me back a $10 and some change. I guess she must have thought I paid with a $20. So I got a free lunch. Plus a few bucks. Stole a locker door. Edit. More context. We were on the way to a rally and I noticed a broken locker, so I took it with me to the rally. It was crazy cause the whole time I walking to the gym I was like, there's no way I'm getting away with this. Walked by the principal and security with it in hand and they didn't say anything. When I brought it home I taped notes. A bus ticket from Halloween and just memories. But unfortunately I had to give it up because we were moving and we didn't have space for it. Edit 2. Thank you all for the upvotes. TL. Doctor stole a locker door. I too stole a locker door. Last day of school in grade 10 and I couldn't bear to part with my locker door that had been written on by my friends, so I brought a crowbar to school. Popped the hinges off and carried it right past the front office to the bus. Not a word was said about it by the school. Just got a weird look by my mom when she came home and saw it in her backyard. Dude, that's fire. Do you still have it today? Steal a bunch of snacks from storage. Like a lot of them. What kind of snacks? Various kinds. Mostly chips and a lot of Coke. Coke. Various kinds. In high school my girlfriend and I would regularly sneak to unoccupied places for private time. Ended after we had to spend an entire period hiding in the drum room one day because there was a meeting in the music room which we were unaware of. Ah yes. It was always us band kids that had it the easiest when it came to finding places to sneak off to. Practice rooms, locker rooms, back hallways. During my senior years in high school, I got out of school earlier as I was ahead on credits. During my junior year I shuffled my last period, when I'd normally be leaving school early, so that it would line up right after homeroom, and she would skip class every so often to meet me in the band room so we could take advantage of the practice rooms. On the days she didn't ditch class, I legitimately was taking advantage of that time to practice. So it worked out. The band director would see us walk in and head back to practice when there was nobody else there and not even bat an eye. Although he did give me a thumbs up once. Shame what I thought was a chill dude turned out to be grooming students and was fired halfway through my senior year. Theater kids have just as many hiding places and probably less supervision. I did both band and theater. The dressing rooms, sound light booth, and in general auditorium were the only places I was alone enough to pull stunts like that. Oh, most deaf. I used to hang out with a lot of techies after school. There was no shortage of spots to have some privacy. In fact, I remember a kid getting expelled for having sex in the catwalks. If he hadn't left his jizz behind to drip onto the seats below and been only one of 3 techs meant to be there that evening, he'd have gotten away with it. Didn't rat out whoever he was with, though. No point in getting expelled and lose out on getting laid. We have that one laid back teacher. He went to copy some worksheets so me and my friend got a ton of apples that the canteen ladies gave us at the end of the break BC, otherwise they were thrown away. So we started putting them all over the room. Teacher just got back and looked completely confused, then proceeded to collect all of them and take them home. I mean, free apples, right? When life gives you apples, take them all. To make a platinus. I came late, sneaked into the class and on my spot without the teacher noticing. What about your attendance roll? It may just be in my school but sometimes it can take like 15 minutes to do attendance. Normally it's like 5 of it's a laid back teacher. Okay, that makes sense. At my school they take attendance the second the bell rings. So I was confused. Thanks for the explaining. Sometimes our teachers would straight up forget and they'd ask you the next day if you were there. I played Phoenix on my calculator during a math test. We had 45 minutes and I was done in 5. So I spent the other 40 looking down at my paper and then back at my calculator. What is Phoenix? A flash game where you pilot a ship. You can shoot down enemies and collect the falling $sign to pay for upgraded weapons and automatic shooting. Hands down the best calculator game. Block Dude was pretty good too. Playing it now, the games are very easy, but it was a big challenge when I was a kid. A kid was bullying my best friend in gym class so I punched him in the face. No repercussions. Good man. I briefly locked a teacher out of their classroom because the day before she said she would lock out anyone that was late. You're a god hidden amongst us. Me and some friends used to climb up in the roof on weekends and camp out up there. Then what did you do for fun? Have steaming hot sex on the roof whilst camping. Boys will be boys. Smoked a cigarette out the bathroom window. VP walked in right after I put it out. We both smelled it. I guess he didn't want to go through the paperwork though. Not the same exactly, but I smoked my bong in the bathroom during class, put it back in my locker, and returned to class super stoned. After the period ended, everyone was talking about how the entire 8th grade hallway smelled weird and I was freaking out a bit with a bong hiding in my locker. Somehow didn't get caught but decided not to do it again. I was in the 10th grade, 86 feet, and thought it would be a good idea to take a 1-stroke 2-ounce bag of weed with me to school. I told a friend and we skipped a class and got really stoned. When the next class started we got busted for smelling and looking high so we got sent to the principal's office. It was a big school, 3k kids, with a large bustling office and 6 principals and principals. My buddy was a known troublemaker and dressed like one too so he got hauled into the office first while I was told to sit on the couch near the secretary's desk. I heard my friend getting searched and threats of police calling, so I acted like I was looking at a book while I pulled my bag and papers out of my pocket and hid them under the cushions of the couch. I was taken into the office next, searched but found nothing. Then my dad showed up to take me home even though they had no proof. The next morning I walked into school and made a beeline toward the office. As I was walking up I saw an assistant principal walking out, so I went to the secretary and asked to see him. She said he just left. Sit on the couch and wait a few minutes for him to return. I sat on the couch, retrieved my weed, and slipped out when she wasn't looking. It was an extremely victorious day for a 10th grader. On the last days of school, my friend had a bunny in his locker which he fed grass to during lunch. Every popular girl in my class helped feed the bunny. My friend would have gotten away with it if it weren't for one of the girls who posted it on their story on Snapchat. The snap spread around the school pretty quickly and someone snitched on them. My friend didn't get in much trouble, only a call home. Probably cause we live in Sweden and the max punishment is a week of suspension. Then what's the max punishment of other countries? In the US you can be expelled for the entire year with an automatic repeat or even have the police involved. I kind of awkwardly choke slammed a JV football player through one of those armchair desk things, in full view of the class and new science teacher before the period started. Nothing ever came of it. I found out later that year the teacher's wife was my father's secretary, and I guess he was afraid to have me suspended because he thought my father would fire his wife. At the time my father was the superintendent for a major railroad corporation, and he was feared by almost everyone on the East Coast in that corporation. Poor man. He could have had me expelled if he wanted to. My father would have kicked my ass and then given his wife a raise most likely. Anyway, Mr. Byzantin, if you're out there, thanks for not ratting me out, and I hope you kept up with the beekeeping hobby. Those jars of honey you handed out at the end of the year were great. And to Mike, sorry about that bubba. We were all dumbasses in HS. Glad we became friends later in life. Let's just say I'm the reason they now have electric locks on all the doors. Username checks out. I stole a quarter. There's a special place in hell for you delinquent, right next to Hitler. I beat the shit out of a kid on camera. I knew the angles beforehand so kept my back to the camera. I kind of panicked after because I had stuff all over my backpack. The video was worse quality than I expected. Bunch of my buddies were called in to view the video to confirm if it was me or not. No one ratted me out and they got to see some good punches. I felt the guy deserved it at the time. Fast forward many years later and I said sorry. Saw him at a store and he was worried I was going to do something. Instead I made him comfortable. I both love and hate my old self. Instead I made him comfortable. Sits him on lap. And exposes a nipple for him to suckle on. Right here, officer. I got a hold of my geometry teacher's grade sheet and straight up wrote high scores in all the ones I ranked poorly in. I feel awful about it, honest to God. But frankly I probably would have failed that class if I didn't. I was outside of the school. I punched a boy who was trying to bully me, filming me with his phone and trying to break a school project I did. Apparently my friends told me I punched him so hard that I broke his nose. Surprisingly I never got in trouble for that. So at a primary school I went to, they had this garden area that was behind a sort of gatekeeper's house that we would use to plant vegetables and learn some basic nature. One year while in the garden my mate and I got told off by the angry gardener lady, whom I now only remember as being the spitting image of Miss Trunchbull, albeit she had more of an actual moustache and was quite possibly about twice the size. Her daily demeanor was pretty close to the real thing as well. All we did was step on some of her plants by mistake, but she practically lynched us out of the garden for it. In an act of revenge we decided we would sneak into the garden during lunchtime on a different day and pull up all of her prized potatoes that she'd been growing. She actually walked in just as we were finished pulling them up, but we managed to hide round a corner and sneak out behind her before she caught us. There was a big angry assembly the next day when they announced an investigation into who had done it. They never caught us though. Not sure if this one counts, but it's a wild one. 3 years ago, I was a junior in high school who attended a fairly small Christian school. Every year, the school would send a juniors and a few seniors, who would act as leaders, on a service trip to help out children in third world countries who are less fortunate. Our class went to Cambodia. Literally the first night there, a couple of us decided to buy alcohol and get drunk. We got away with it for 6 months until one of the kids told the teachers and we all got suspended. During this same trip, I played a game of truth or dare with a close female friend of mine, and we ended up giving each other hand on an airplane while another student was sitting beside me and talking to me, oblivious of what was going on under the blankets. What made this even worse was that both of us were in a relationship. We both came clean once we got back. Despite being suspended for drinking on this school trip, I was chosen to go on the same service trip to Cambodia with the juniors as a senior leader the next year. Didn't drink this time, but while we were on the plane ride back home, my girlfriend gave me a blowjob while a classmate was fast asleep right next to me. Girlfriend wanted to beat what had happened the previous year. I have sex. Amila High Club. Bro, you actually watched the whole video. I'd give you a high five if I was a human. Make sure to click the like button and subscribe for more great content. See you next time.